on spousal or non-dating relationships, again, the devil's probably in the details. You've got to look at what the definition of a dating relationship is. I certainly agree that certain dating relationships qualify as domestic relationships that qualify for domestic violence. But again, you have to look at the definition. Let me go back to some of Mr. Thomas's points, though, because I think they deserve a response. There is no one who should be criticizing the leadership of Governor Napolitano in the area of domestic violence. She has been the greatest champion this state has ever seen in that issue, and I am so proud to have worked with her on all of the things that she has done in the domestic violence area. She created the Domestic Violence Council. That council that I talked about in my opening statement has led the way in developing the policy changes that we need. They have done the types of things that have led to the types of legislation that Mr. Thomas has talked about and the ones that he was absent from. They have been the leaders on this issue. They have gotten domestic violence, and the governor, I'm very proud to have worked for Governor Napolitano. Let me also talk about plea bargains, because Mr. Thomas has grossly mischaracterized my policy on that. He talks about having done 40,000 prosecutions. He doesn't talk about the 40,000 unserved felony warrants in this county. So if he's got 40,000 prosecutions that he's working on, but we're 40,000 other people out there who have committed crimes and are not being prosecuted, there's something wrong with the system. And the thing that's wrong with that system is that our courts are getting tied up because we have policies that don't make sense. Let me be clear about what my policy is. My policy is that if you can prove your charge, then the defendant has to plead guilty to that charge that you can prove, or you don't do a plea bargain. But if you can't prove the charge, if the evidence isn't there, then you plea bargain to something you can prove. And you get that case out of the system, because there's no sense going to trial on a case you can't prove. It ties up our system, and it is not in the interest of justice. Unfortunately, what Mr. Thomas has done is tied his prosecutors' hands and forced them to take cases to trial they can't prove.
Thank you, Mr.